1975 was a year in which Richard, Kit and Robin all gave soccer a try. I was glad to see them give it a try, but Richard really didn't have much interest in it. Kit appeared pretty interested and had some skills, but an injury took him out of the game. And Robin, she did it just I think for the social activities, to be with her friends. The girls continued with dance lessons, and as you can see, they improved quite a bit. The journal records that Robin danced well because there were certain young male admirers in the audience, one of whom called her on the phone afterwards. There's nothing like blowing soap bubbles to herald the coming of summer, but the kids in the back garden took it to new heights. Last time I'll ask them to water the lawn. Hey, notice the rabbit hutch there. It's also great to see kids as they learn to ride their bikes. They just watch where they're going. The reason that Colin doesn't have a smile on his face while he's riding the tricycle is that he wants to ride the three-wheeler that Jeff's got. Those big wheels were really popular around that time. I was really impressed with the kids' prowess on stilts. They all were pretty successful. Even Jeff wanted to give it a try, but I think you need to be of a certain age to be able to handle it. In August, we went to the stake campgrounds up in Mandaway with the rest of the ward for a family campout called The Great Escape. Kit and Tom Call pitched the tent, and Robin and I cooked supper. Colin was very excited about everything, and I couldn't get him to bed before everyone else was going to go to bed. The boys got pretty dirty, and I remember having to wash them off in a cold stream in the moonlight before getting them into their sleeping bags. There was lots of opportunities for us to do things by ourselves or join with the other people in various activities. And it was fun watching the kids demonstrating their skills and trying to outdo the parents, and in some cases the parents trying to outdo the kids. I tried my hand at a couple of things, but some of the activities, they look like it's best left to be a spectator sport. Lots of family games and activities in the morning. They all seemed to culminate in almost all the kids getting completely wet in the creek. Robin and Jill were thrown in, and the rest sort of just fell in by themselves. Jeff dropped 2 watermelons on the ground, and Colin spent hours just throwing stones in the creek. Jeff and Ricky played with the fire, and Jill just seemed to disappear and then reappear very dirty. We drove home in the afternoon and cleaned everybody up. The big event of the year was the arrival of Sarah, and of course, being the having 7 older brothers and sisters, she was loved and cared for right out of the box. Through the rest of the year, Sarah grew and developed quite rapidly, and by the end of the year she was really a fully participating member with all the activities of the family. In October we took the kids into Salt Lake to see the bicentennial Freedom Train. It was a pretty impressive experience. Not only just the huge locomotive and everything, but the displays that were in the accompanying rail cars. Colin was rather scared of the locomotive, especially when it blew off steam and blew its whistle. One evening in October we bundled Sarah up fairly warmly and went up to Miller Park Canyon to roast hot dogs. The fire was nice and warm, the air was cool, the hot dogs tasted great, and the kids all got dirty. The firewood was free, the hot dogs were cheap, but the memories are priceless. When you're little, you can even have fun in the leaves in the garden. But at the end of the day, you got to wash the kids anyway, so it doesn't matter how dirty they get. This section of the video shows kids opening presents, but doesn't kind of tell the story of the day. Started off with me driving the kids around on their paper out, and then getting them back in time for the whole family to open up the presents. And we hadn't bought really a lot of presents for the kids individually, but family presents of air hockey and pong games really made up for it. They both had a heavy load of customers all day from our kids, especially some visiting friends. Pong was the first electronic game that we bought that played on the TV, and it was really a novelty. Dad and Jean came over in the morning, and then in the afternoon we went over to Laverne's and then over to Pete's. By today's standards, the kid didn't appear to get very much, but they seem happy enough with it. I took Ricky, Jeff, and Colin tobogganing up at Muir School. Ricky took some skis and tried it out for the first time. He did very well coming down the gentle slopes, but the only way he could stop was to fall over. You all seem to be better skiers than you were a year ago, but of course the proof of the pudding is up in the mountains, this time at Alta. Got up early and took Kit, Robert Rice, Stacy, Jill and Ricky up to Alta for a day of skiing. It was a beautiful day up there, clear, sunny and warm, and we all got quite a tan for our efforts. I just watched the kids and took movies. Ricky has not had any lessons, and as a result he fell from going too fast and strained his knee.
Here are some excerpts from your ski school experience. It snowed all day, but they made it okay and had a fine time, it seems. The usual things happened. They lost their lunch. Jill got thrown on her face twice by the rope tow, and Kit complained that he did not have enough money to eat with. The kids went skiing today, but did not get home until about 9:30 p.m. Their bus broke down and they had all sorts of problems. Jill and Stacy went on the chairlift for the first time today and made it down the slopes by themselves. They've also mastered the rope tow, so it should start becoming more fun for them now. Kit, Stacy, and our teen went skiing today, and the weather was really great for them. There was only one problem. Stacy wore Jill's boots and took her own skis. They're different sizes, and so she could not wear the skis, and a whole day up there was ruined. I went down to the ski school buses at 4:30 to pick up the kids, but only Kit was on them. We called around and finally located the twins still at Alta. They'd tried for one more time down the hill and had missed the bus. Up early to get the kids off to skiing. It was a nice day and they had a good time. The twins even remembered to catch the bus back. This is the last run that Richard made. It's the last one because this is where he has quite a fall and bangs up his knee quite a bit. Hobbled him for several days thereafter. It is a cause for celebration when you begin to look like a skier on skis. The next step is then you have to dress like a skier. Of course, when your ski pass runs out before your day does, there's nothing left to do than to just be like kids. Well, Jill, I think Kit owes you an apology for that one. My only question is, why did you get up and ask for more? I suppose the moral of the story is all's well that ends well. I guess the family room was aptly named. It seems like it was all crowded with your stuff. Stacy wrote this about Sarah. 8 months. Sarah Charlotte. Light brown hair, blue eyes, 17 pounds weight, 26.5 inches height, short hair, can stand up for a good 15 seconds but cannot walk. She is a female. Her birthday is 24 May 1975. She makes funny noises, can smile, is very interested in paper and small objects, can drink out of a glass, can crawl, and sit up very well. Today she has a cold. She has a healthy body, likes to be carried on the head, dislikes to be in her playpen too long, likes to be talked to, likes to be fed, hates to be taken away from something interesting. The ward held a kite flying contest down on the fields by South Davis Junior High, and as I remember, we won a couple of prizes. Not much I can really say about Easter egg hunts. We've done it so many times, the kids seem to all know the standard places where things are hidden and what the rules are as to who can get how many. That doesn't apply to Colin, though. He sort of wandered around and found some quite by accident and had to be
coaxed and led to find the other one. Interesting to see how you all looked and acted back then. Wonder if it kind of matches up with how you remember yourselves looking and acting. Boy, I watched Ricky ride around the neighborhood with Colin perched precariously on the back, neither of them wearing helmets, and well, that wouldn't go today.
Colin had graduated to the big wheel, which made him feel really happy. And Richard got a skateboard, and it's a wonder he didn't kill himself on that thing also.
Sarah's beginning to be able to get around the house pretty well, and everything is discovery for her. Sometimes we have to put bounds on that discovery process. These movies were shot on Mother's Day, and the close-ups of the faces give you an idea as to what your personalities were like back then and how you displayed them.
In the afternoon we went over to Laverne's, and these movies are classic Grandma Laverne in action. You may not find many people in life who loved you as well as Laverne did and as much as she did. We were joined there by Jack and Marion and their families, and it was a real gull get-together. As I watch these movies of Sarah's first birthday party, I think back to Charlotte's first birthday party, and boy, you realize sometimes the acorn doesn't fall very far from the tree.
It was only a few years previously that it was Colin who was tromping around in the back garden and doing the same things. And now here it is, Sarah, almost walking in his footsteps.
Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Okay, so I'm not John Denver and it isn't Colorado. It's American Folk Canyon by Timpanogos. But it serves just as well. I took this day off and got everything ready in the morning to go on a fathers and sons outing. We, that is myself, Kit, Ricky, Jeff and Colin, left in the early afternoon and got up to Silver Lake without any problems. We tried a couple of camping sites before settling in on one. I opened up some cans of stew for supper and it was all eagerly wolfed down. The little kids, Jeff and Colin, threw rocks in the water and sticks in the fire. Kit found a pretty good fishing pole that nobody owned and Ricky tried his hand at fishing with it. The three youngest were very dirty by bedtime and had to wash them down in a very cold stream. Most everyone rendezvoused at the right place for breakfast, and I spent quite a bit of my time frying eggs and cleaning up. I didn't have to spend too much time looking after Colin because he was either hanging onto my leg or playing very close by. I finally got a turn at paddling our kayak around the lake, and Colin and Jeff enjoyed that. We made it back home in the early afternoon and spent a long time cleaning up. Ricky said something original and clever during our outing. Do you know who invented fathers and sons outings? Mothers. I think I got this section of movie out of sequence because I think it's his previous birthday when he got the cloak and the crown and everything from Jill and Stacy. However, he was still adored by his ever-loving and loyal subjects. This was the beginning of a Ward family campout up at Bear Lake. We went up on Friday, spent some time messing around. Then that evening fixed supper and swam in the heated swimming pool and socialized with the Ward members, and then slept over. In the morning everybody was feeling pretty good. A good breakfast and then sitting around waiting for the morning sun to warm us up, and before you know it we were all ready to go hit the beach. Some of the kids just enjoyed messing around on the beach or working on their tans, as the case may be. Kit and some of the older kids went out on our little sailboat that we had for a couple of years, and that was really a fun little thing to have. We enjoyed it very much. And then the teenagers got to doing what teenagers always get to do when they're on the beach.
And then we finished the outing by going up and visiting Minnetonka Cave. Seemed like there was one continual round of Scout Courts of Honor or Young Women's award programs. And we were always proud of the kids. They all really did well. Today was Presidential Election Day and Robin's birthday. Some of her friends toilet papered our front garden late last night, and we found out about it first thing this morning. Right after school, Robin walked into her room to find a surprise party also set up by her girlfriends. By the time I got home, it was all pretty much over. Sally fixed a nice dinner, and afterwards we took Robin around to various stores to redeem some of the skirts and pants that she had placed on layaway, and then we went and voted. Richard also had his birthday down in the family room, although looking at it now, there are several guests there that I can no longer identify. This is the Christmas concert over South Davis Junior High with Stacy and the Cadet Orchestra and Robin singing in the choir. Robin sang the only solo in the concert, and I was impressed by what a beautiful voice she had. This was the evening of the ward Christmas party. Typically we would have the older kids go off and be with their friends, and we'd be with the younger ones, and here is Colin getting his FaceTime with Santa Claus. Kid and Stacy had paper rights right now, so on Christmas morning, first order of the day was to drive them around to deliver their papers. We got back in time when the other kids were just waking up, so we all went upstairs this time and opened the presents. We opened them one at a time, so that it wasn't quite the chaos it normally had been, but it took a lot longer. After that, we went over to Pete and Cheryl's and visited with them, and Dad and Jean were there also, and again it was exchanged presents. That was a pretty crowded house. And then in the afternoon we went to Laverne's for lunch, and then Jack and Marion and their family were up there also, so it was a crowded house for a third time. When we got back home, everybody was so tired. A lot of the kids went to sleep, watched TV, and the older ones then went off to visit friends. A lot of the presents the kids hold up I can't remember anymore, but some of them I do remember. The Christmas Day visits to Pete's were always rather boisterous, since they had kids in the same age brackets as ours. This was Colin's 4th birthday, and Sally fixed him up with a party and cake and presents, and it was all just for the family. Colin was very excited about the whole thing, and he enjoyed playing with his games with the rest of the kids during the evening. In the fall, Robin got a part in the stake musical production Annie Get Your Gun. She was one of the dancers, and she did really well. She really enjoyed being there. Part of it was due to the fact that there was a young man that she was the dance partner to, and she really enjoyed that young man. On the night of the production, we went to see it. Pete and Cheryl and their family came, and Dad and Jean came also, and Laverne came, and we filled up a couple of rows. It was funny that during the show, Sarah was in the aisle dancing to the rhythm that she saw on the stage. In February, we bought 4 sets of cross-country skis, and this was our first experience with them. We went up to Cardiff Fork in Big Cottonwood Canyon, and learned by trial and error how to stay upright and how to get around on them. On Memorial Day, we went for a drive up to Promontory to see the Transcontinental Railroad monument up there where the meeting of the rails took place. Apart from some fatigue, it was a good trip, and the little kids enjoyed playing on the engines and ringing the bells. In fact, everyone around there got a little tired of hearing the bells ring. I had promised Colin and Sarah and Jeff that I'd take them out camping overnight, and so on this particular evening we loaded up some bare essentials into the VW, and just before sunset we drove up on Skyline Drive above Bountiful and pitched a 2-man tent. It took a little while for everybody to get to sleep, but everybody slept pretty well despite the excitement and the crowded conditions. Following morning we went hiking and driving all along the top of the mountain there, and they really had a great time. Four days later we prepared a picnic and drove down to Timpanogos in the afternoon, intending to go through a hike to the caves, but all the schedules were full, so we drove over to Bridal Veil Falls and hiked up them. Then we went down and watched the Heber Creeper train arrive and took lots of photos there, and after that we drove to Sundance and cooked hamburgers for supper on the little portable hibachi before we watched the family show at the outdoor theater. Monday, 24 July 1978. We all slept in a little bit in the morning and then slowly got ready to go on a hike in the afternoon. As slow as everybody was, I was not too sure whether everybody or anybody really wanted to go. Finally, Sally, Jill, Ricky, Jeff, Colin, Sarah and I squeezed into the VW and drove to Albion Basin and hiked up first to the secret lake and then on to the ridge where we had a view of Timpanogos. There were lots of summer flowers and we had a very enjoyable time, as well as getting burned to a crisp. I had to carry Sarah in a few places, but Colin did the whole thing all by himself. We had some trouble getting the VW started, but luck was with us and we made it back home without incident. Everyone fell fast asleep on the ride, but woke up to get bathed and to eat supper before going out to Lagoon to see the fireworks. Saturday, 29 July 1978.
Got up a little earlier than usual for a Saturday morning and got myself and Jill, Stacy and Ricky ready to go on a hike to the top of Mount Timpanogos. We left the house at about 8:30 a.m. and did not get back until about 9:30 p.m. The hike was really good, but very long and tiring, especially for Ricky. We took photos and movies of the spectacular scenery and had a good time together, in that I think we will always remember going on it together. The slide down the glacier was especially good. Jill found a camera while she slid down that belonged to a group ahead of us, and after I had gone down, the couple behind us returned my wallet, which had come out of my pocket as I slid down. A couple of nice guys from BYU gave us a ride from Theater in the Pines, where we came off the mountain, around to the Timpanogos trailhead, where we started in and where we had left our car. Everyone was very stiff, tired, sunburned and dirty when we got home. "1978 was a year in which I was young enough and some of the kids were old enough for us to be able to do these kinds of things together, and I'm sure glad we took the opportunity to do it. It's a cherished time in my life." Sally and Sarah made a quick flight down to Phoenix to spend a few days with Roy and Sylvia. Another fun half-day trip was out to Antelope Island, where the kids got to run around and explore and enjoy the view, and all in reasonable safety. Richard demonstrated his talents as a performer during one of the school programs that were put on for the parents. Jeff was into riding bigger bikes now and seemed to be able to do pretty well with them. We drove to Flaming Gorge via Fort Bridger, where we stopped for lunch, and then we toured the old fort and found it very interesting. We then continued on to Flaming Gorge and found a camping place and managed to settle in for the night.
The following morning we slowly woke up and had breakfast, and finally when we were all ready, we journeyed to the base of Flaming Gorge Dam to meet up with some other ward members and start rafting down the river. We spent most of the time on the river in rubber rafts. We went down in the morning, and after the first big rapid, Sarah was dead set against going in the raft any further. We had to physically restrain her from climbing out of the raft. She settled down after a while, but she and Sally decided to take a nap in the afternoon instead of making another run on the river. The rest of us went again in the afternoon, and there was a lot more water in the river. We had a lot more fun. We had to hit the big rapid 3 times before we got the ride that we wanted. Colin seemed to enjoy himself very much, both on the river and in the camping activities. And Sarah loves to camp also. We drove home via Vernal, where we stopped off at the Dinosaur National Monument, and the kids got to see all the fossilized dinosaur bones and get a little bit more of an appreciation for dinosaurs. We also made a camping trip out to Moab. We went to Castle Valley and saw all the sights there. Kind of piqued my interest as to what Monument Valley must look like. We spent one day inside Arches National Monument itself, hiking around to most of the more spectacular arches, and I discovered that Colin's a pretty good hiker, and everybody seemed to enjoy the time they had when we didn't have any accidents or any lost kids. I have somewhat of a fear for heights, always feeling like I might lose my balance and fall off. I don't remember feeling that concerned about you guys, that one of you guys would have fallen off, but you didn't, and I'm glad for that, and I imagine you're glad for it too. Just don't push our envelope with our grandkids, okay? Landscape Arch is an extraordinary place, and the view is absolutely magnificent. Although I understand pieces of it are starting to flake off. I hope all of you take the opportunity to take your grandkids up there. It's an easy hike, and it's a memory that they'll never forget.
We finished up the trip by going to Dead Horse Point, and considering all the places that we went and the number of kids we had and how spread out we were at various points in time, it's a testimony of how well the older kids helped the younger kids make sure that they didn't get into any trouble or difficult situations.
Robin got a job singing and dancing with one of the performing groups at Lagoon, and we all went out as a family one time to see her show and enjoy some of the other things that were out there. Less accent now, it seems like, on riding the rides than it was seeing the other things that were there. On Friday afternoon, I went up the University of Utah Stadium with Jill, Stacy, and Ricky, and took movies and pictures of Robin in her role as a cheerleader as Bountiful High won the state football championship. It was a lovely, warm afternoon, and it was really good times together. And it was just a revelation for me to see Robin as she performed as a cheerleader. I started off my life as an English schoolboy going to a very traditional English school, and yet how more American can you get than being the father of a teenage girl who's a cheerleader at the state football championship game. It's come a long ways. It's evident as I watch this movie that all of the kids have come a long ways during these years.